Hello everybody, welcome to Pet Week. So yesterday you spoke to Melissa about parrots and how it is important to help them have the best life when they are in captivity. So they are an exotic pet. Today we are going to introduce you to an exotic pet that you might not think is an exotic pet. Everyone has them, no one really knows where they truly come from, and unfortunately this animal is extinct in the wild. So we'll be learning more about her in a minute, but before I do go on about her, she is available to adopt as part of our animal adoption packs. Great for small children, great for big children like myself. They're very fun, very snuggly, and they love attention. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at guinea pigs and rabbits. Now, you might not think guinea pigs and rabbits are very, very exotic, but you can get loads of different species of rabbit. Netherland dwarfs come from the Netherlands. Naturally, all these animals were wild. Everything that you own today was naturally wild. They had to come from somewhere. They weren't genetically created in labs, like they're doing with dinosaurs. But unfortunately, guinea pigs here, like Maisie, there is no longer any of them in the wild. These are originally from South America, and they are classified as extinct because South Americans ate them for food. So these guys, unfortunately, you can no longer find wild in South America. They are only in captivity. With rabbits, you still find wild rabbits. Wild rabbits and domesticated rabbits cannot live together. They should not live together, and they cannot breed. Okay, so if you wanted to try and reintroduce your pet rabbits into the wild, they would not survive. There's so many diseases in the wild that pet rabbits can catch, and it can kill them. So unfortunately, you trying to do a nice thing by releasing an animal back into the wild, you are more likely going to kill it. So we don't want to do that. Now, a very common question that comes with guinea pigs and rabbits is, can they live together? Can you get your guinea pig and your rabbit to live together in harmony? Unfortunately not. Rabbits carry a bacteria that causes respiratory distress in guinea pigs. It's a very long worded bacteria. I'm not going to even try and pronounce it because I will make myself look like a fool. But this causes the guinea pig's windpipe to close up. It causes it to feel all irritated, and unfortunately this can kill them. It can lead to more complicated issues. So our little guinea pigs here cannot live with rabbits. Plus rabbits are much, much bigger. They're much stronger, and they tend to fight a lot because rabbits want the food, guinea pigs want the food, and rabbits are bigger. So your guinea pigs will be worse off if they do live with rabbits. It's best to keep them separate. Now, you can have guinea pigs live with guinea pigs, and you can have rabbits living with rabbits. They are a very social animal, so we want to make sure that they have all their friends. Now, before I tell you how to take care of these beautiful little guinea pigs, we are going to do a quick recap and remind you what your homework is for today. So we are going to create a leaflet to tell you how to take care of these gorgeous animals, okay? We're going to talk about enclosure designs and the size, because these guys like to run around quite a lot. We're going to talk about the diet, that you're meeting the correct diet needs for your animals so they don't become fat, they're not too thin, and it also comes with health issues if you don't feed them the correct food. Enrichment, so believe it or not, you guys do enrichment yourself. If you get bored, you colour, you play in the garden. We want to influence you to do that with animals as well. Believe it or not, if you have a dog or a cat and you've brought them a toy, you have enrichment for them. So it comes in many different forms. It can be food, it can be playful, it can be praise. There's lots of different types of enrichment you can come up with. Vet care, so even though these guys are an exotic pet, most general vets know how to take care of them, but before you take any guinea pigs into your general vet, just ring them and ask to see whether they are comfortable with seeing them, because they are still classed as an exotic animal. And any special care and consideration these guys need. And we also want to talk about what's good and bad about having a guinea pig as a pet. Lots of things, not gonna lie. They're really cute and really fluffy, but they're also a lot of hard work. So we're gonna look about how much hard work they are and stuff like that as well. So we are going to show you a picture of my pet rabbit. She is adorable. Her name is Fluffbun. Now, rabbits like to be as social as guinea pigs. Unfortunately, my rabbit lost her friend when she was very young. And we tried to give her a new friend, but she is not interested. She prefers to play with my dog more than another rabbit, unfortunately. So she's free roam with my dog in the house and in the garden. So she's got lots of space to run around, and she's also got lots of places to hide, so she's nice and happy. And then in the other two pictures, you will meet the boss's previous pet guinea pigs. So she had a few guinea pigs when she was growing up. They are great company, and believe it or not, they're great stress relievers. Having a pet reduces the risk of you feeling sad. They make you happy. Now, you can bath guinea pigs. However, they are self-cleaning as well. So the only time you are to bath your little squeakers here is if they get completely caked in mud and you're to do it in a very, very warm house. You don't want them to stay wet for a long time because that can cause them to get really, really poorly. And never, ever use a hairdryer on them. They don't like it. They get very, very scared. So we are going to look at the 5 freedoms of guinea pigs. If I did both guinea pigs and rabbits, this video would probably be about 10 hours long because I can ramble on about these guys forever. I don't think you're going to sit there for 10 hours. I think Maisie is going to run out of hay before them 10 hours are up. And we don't want that. So we're just going to teach you about guinea pigs. Half of the stuff I do tell you about guinea pigs can be put on with rabbits as well. But if you're unsure, either call the rescue centre to see whether they can give you advice, or call your local vet, and they can also give you advice on how to take care of your animals properly. So our first freedom is freedom from hunger and thirst. Now, this means don't starve your animal and give them fresh water daily, pretty much. But it's not just that, you have to provide them with the correct diet. So Maisie here, as you can see, she really, really likes hay. Okay, and hay is 80% of her diet. They are natural herbivores. In the wild, they would spend all day foraging for food. But it's not also that. This hay is really, really important for them because it helps keep their teeth ground down. It's very long strands, so they're constantly gnawing on it. It's natural to keep their teeth down. Now, guinea pigs' teeth grow constantly, and they can get overgrown teeth. So you giving them all this hay is preventing that, therefore preventing a vet visit that is going to cost you quite a lot of money. So you want to make sure that they have unlimited supply to it all the time. They love their hay. They will eat and eat and eat until they're full, then they'll nap, and then they'll wake up and they'll want some more hay. The reason she is also on this blanket is because she's eating hay all the time. It means she's pooping all the time. So I didn't want to get pooped on today. So if you do snuggle your guinea pigs, make sure you have a blanket there as well. These guys are supposed to have grass pellets instead of muesli, just because grass pellets are natural, they're made of grass, and they have lots of vitamin C in for these guys. They can't produce it on their own, so providing them with it is really, really important to help keep their bones strong, their teeth strong, stop their nails from cracking. It's really important for them to have a daily dose of vitamin C. So giving them 15 to 20 grams of pellets a day just means that they're not going to get too fat, they're not going to get too thin, and you're giving them that important vitamin C that they need. We also give them fresh fruit and veg daily. Now, you have to be really specific on the fruit and veg you give to them. If you give them too many carrots or apples, you are giving them things that are very high in sugar, which can lead to them being overweight and can also lead to them being diabetic, which we do not want. So, apples, carrots, things that are high in sugar, you would only give them once every 2 weeks, roughly. Their daily greens should include things like parsley, green, spring greens, spinach, kale, everything that's nice and high in vitamins and minerals for them to make sure that they have a nice, healthy diet. It's really, really important. And fresh water daily. You need to give them fresh water. These guys drink quite a lot of water. Hay is very dry, it's dried up grass, so it makes them very thirsty, so they will constantly need access to fresh water. You can either keep your guinea pigs inside or outside. There's a massive debate on keeping them inside or outside. Personally, we have ours inside here at the centre, but we've also kept them outside before. If you do have them outside in the winter, you have to make sure they have extra bedding, just to help them stay warm through the cold weather. And you also need to make sure their water bottle isn't frozen. Also, with enclosures, you need to put them in the correct place, and that is moving on to our second freedom, so freedom from discomfort. So you can have these guys inside or outside. If you have them inside, keep them out of direct sunlight when the sun's shining through your window. We also want you to make sure you're not putting them near a radiator so they don't overheat. The average temperature that these guys can live in comfortably without sweating, without getting uncomfortable, is around 26 degrees Celsius. You don't really want to exceed that. If you do, you need to make sure that there's lots of water around. Where are you going? There's lots of water around for them to drink to help keep them cool. You can also freeze a 2-litre bottle of water, wrap it up in loads of hay, and then place it in the enclosure so it cools them down. They can lie around it if they need to cool down at all, which is also really important. So you're giving them that option. Another thing that you need to consider about discomfort is basically knowing how to handle them properly. So a lot of people are always uncertain on how to pick guinea pigs up. You can't do this one-handed, you have to do it two-handed. You're in the wrong position for this, so we're just going to turn you around. So to pick them up, you want to put one hand underneath their belly, and then you want to support their bum with your other hand so that their legs aren't sticking out like this, okay? So you're supporting all their body parts so they don't get afraid of you. Okay, they're not going to fall, they don't feel like they're being picked up upside down or the wrong way around. You're also not going to lie them on their back because this is very scary. These are prey animals, so unfortunately it means that they are likely to get eaten by other animals. So if you pick them up and scare them or you surprise them, that can get pretty scary for them, and they will kick and freak out, and you can cause their heart rate to rise so high that they have a heart attack, which we do not want. So you need to make sure you're supporting with two hands and lifting up at the same time so everything is all level and even and there's no upside down or topsy-turvy. Because you don't want to scare them, they're just so cute, and they squeak at you when they're happy. So if you're grooming them, they squeak and it's really adorable, and they'll even try and groom you in return. So with their teeth, they will nibble you with their teeth and lick you with their tongue. And this is them just returning the favour that you're grooming them, okay? Because they are a social animal and they're used to having friends, if one guinea pig groomed them, they would return the grooming. So they would lick them and nibble them as well, just to make sure that they're all okay, which is really, really important. Now, if you are going to get baby guinea pigs, then you need to start handling them at a young age. If you just get them, put them in a cage or a hutch, then unfortunately, if you leave them alone, they will become very scared of you. You are big, you are scary, you smell pretty funny to them. So if you don't handle them from a young age, they will become very nervous, they won't be used to you, and therefore they will run away from you. If you have young children and you're thinking about getting guinea pigs for a young child, please supervise them at all times with the guinea pigs, because young children don't understand that being tipped upside down is scary. They think it's fun when mum and dad do it, so they think the guinea pig might think it's fun as well, but unfortunately it is not. Okay, so just make sure that you're supervising small children with small pets at all times. Now, a lot of people think that it's really good to have guinea pigs on harness and lead, or put clothes on them. Unfortunately, this is dangerous. The harness and the lead, if the guinea pig tries to pull away, their bones are pretty fragile, and unfortunately you would break their spine. Also, putting clothes on them and leaving them unsupervised, they can get their little legs tangled up in them, which can cause them to panic even more. Stress in guinea pigs is very dangerous. Unfortunately, it can lead to heart failure. If you ever have a guinea pig with any injuries or they get tangled in something, please ring a vet immediately. Don't ask for advice from a friend that has guinea pigs, because they probably never experienced. They'll think that they're giving you good advice, but you could be doing more harm than good, which we don't want. They're just so scrumptious, aren't you? Oh, you're adorable. I could honestly ramble on about these guys. With your enclosure, you need to make sure it's out of direct sun. You need to make sure it's dry. You need to clean it regularly. These guys can actually get really poorly if you leave them in a dirty environment, including their own poo and wee can cause them to get very, very poorly. It needs to be very well ventilated because their wee does smell very bad. So it needs to be ventilated so you don't get hit with it when you're trying to clean them or grab them. And plus, it's much safer for them. Okay, they are really, really cool animals. Another really, really important thing is you need to give them as much space as possible. The minimum requirement for guinea pigs is to have at least a 6 foot by 2 foot enclosure, and they need to be able to stand on their back legs without their head touching the roof. With that enclosure, they should also have a very nice large run attached so that if they are outside and it's cold, they can run around to help keep themselves warm and circulate their blood without getting too cold. Okay, which is also very important. We are going to move on to our next one, our third freedom, which is, sit still, the pain and injury. So the most important thing is to make sure your enclosure is safe. So you don't want anywhere that their little legs can get trapped. You don't want anything getting into the enclosure to scare these little guys. So you need to make sure it's secure, safe, where they can't injure themselves and nothing can fall on them. Common injuries and diseases that these guys can get is bumblefoot is one. You might have heard of it in birds. This is where they're not using all the pressure points on their feet properly. With guinea pigs, it causes scabs and injuries on their feet. It's caused from dirty bedding or incorrect substrate. So you want to make sure that they're able to use all their pressure points on their feet properly. You also have eye infections. Unfortunately, this is very, very common in guinea pigs. It's from dusty bedding. Most of you guys would probably use sawdust for your bedding for your guinea pigs. Unfortunately, that is very dusty. Little bits of it can get stuck in your guinea pig's eye and cause an eye infection. So swelling, small cuts, which then get infected if the enclosure is not cleaned. If this does happen, please take them to a vet immediately. The vet will wash it out with a saline solution, and then they will tell you to keep an eye on it, keep it clean, and remove any dusty bedding. Best way to prevent this is to not have sawdust. We use Easy Bed, which is wood chips, very large wood chips that they can walk on, run around in. Thank you very much for that, Maisie. I really appreciate it. So they have substrate that allows them to use all the pressure points. Soil is just as good, and they can also dig into it if they want to. They're not big diggers, but they can do it, and they will do it if they feel like it. It just keeps them busy. Dental issues. Most guinea pigs do tend to go to vets over dental issues. Like I said, overgrown teeth. As long as you are giving them full access to everything they need, then you shouldn't really have this issue. They tend to go for a checkup every 6 months. Vet will check the weight, they will check their teeth, make sure everything's running nice and smoothly. So as long as you make sure that you are giving them constant supply of hay, then you should be okay. Obesity in guinea pigs is very, very common. People don't realise that they're fat. I'm not going to lie, Maisie here, she is a little bit chunky. This is from having too many treats. Maisie didn't have too many treats, though. She decided to eat house spiders, which are very fatty. So she is now on a diet. So when you diet a guinea pig, you don't want to remove all their food. That's evil. You will be starving them. You want to reduce sugary treats, still give them spring greens and kale, and reduce the amount of pellets you're giving them. But please make sure they still always have access to their hay. And unfortunately, the last one is diabetes. So it's an increase in sugar. So there's many ways that guinea pigs unfortunately get this. The most common way is giving them carrots and apples, apple peel, and treats. That's how most guinea pigs unfortunately get it. There is another way, and we will look at that after we have gone through all 5 freedoms with a few images to help you realise what not to give your guinea pig. So our 4th freedom is to express normal behaviour. So these guys, they are social animals. It's best to keep 2 or more guinea pigs. We have 4 here at the centre. So they need friends. With them being a social animal, if they live alone, they become sad and depressed, and they get really, really upset. Now, most people keep two guinea pigs, and unfortunately, if a guinea pig is ever found on its own, it's because their friend has passed away. If this has happened, you can rebond guinea pigs, but it's a very slow process. Male and female go really well together as long as the male is neutered. If the male is neutered, straight after his operation, you should not put him in with the female because it takes 4 weeks for him to become sterile after the surgery. So you have to wait at least a month after a male's surgery before you pop them in with the females. Otherwise, you might get a nice surprise of guinea pig babies. So if you don't want that, that's the best way to do it. If you're trying to bond two males together, the best way to do it is to get them when they're very, very young and do it that way. Trying to bond two males when they are slightly older, it's much harder because they are trying to be territorial. So it's best to either go with a couple of girls or a girl and a boy. Now, I do have some very, very shocking statistics for you. There is a guinea pig rescue in Nottingham that gets roughly 800 guinea pigs coming into their rescue yearly, and they can only rehome half of them. Most people think it's really good to get very, very young ones, but adoption places and rescue places help you bond your animals. So if you have a guinea pig that needs a friend, instead of getting a baby one, think about going to a rescue. There are so many rescue instead of buying from high-end shops or private breeders. Private breeders tend to be just in it for the money, whereas rescue centres care about the animal welfare, and they will even come and do house checks to make sure that your house is appropriate for these little guys. Okay? They are active for about 16 to 18 hours a day with naps in between. So these guys are great fun if you need someone that keeps you entertained. They love to run around and forage. You can get them lots of fun toys, willow branches, apple branches. Enrichment is really important, so you can give them foraging. So in this hay, she had a couple of pellets this morning where she's foraged and eaten them up. So it's encouraging her to find her food instead of just putting it in a bowl in front of her. These guys need hiding places, so if you have an enclosure for them, make sure they have lots of little hidey holes they can go hide in. If they want to be alone or they need a bit of space or, it's a bit too noisy, they'll go and hide in them and they will feel much safer. So it's best to give them little hide holes. And then we are going to move on to our last freedom. So our last freedom is from fear and distress. So that is essentially talking about what's going on in their head. Like I said, these guys are a prey animal, so if you have very aggressive dogs or cats, keep these guys away from them. Dogs and cats are natural predators in the wild, so they would naturally be afraid of them. You can't always protect their mental health. If you want to hoover the room or cut the lawn or something like that, these guys are going to get scared of that very loud noise. But as long as you're not banging on their cage or trying to catch them when they're afraid and silly stuff like that that's common sense, then these guys will be perfectly fine. As long as they have friends that they can hide with and you guys take best care of them, the common sense is to just be kind. You want to be kind, you want to be quiet around them, you want to be gentle with them. You don't want to be banging them and pulling their fur because that would be very, very mean. Okay, so they're really important to keep together. So we are going to move on to our next slide on what not to give your guinea pigs. So here are two really, really common gnaw toys that you can find. Okay, now these are sold at most pet shops, and on that pet shop it says for guinea pigs. And they will gnaw it, but unfortunately this has glycerin in it. Glycerin is a sugary substance that holds all that little bits of wood together. Now, it's sugar. If they gnaw on it too much, unfortunately that can cause them to drink a lot more water, and it can lead to these guys being diabetic. So if you're going to buy them toys, willow branches, tree branches, natural things that you can find in the wild are really good for them. If you dry out things like dandelions and stuff like that and mix it in with their hay, that's really good for them as well. So just make sure that you're reading the ingredients on the toys that you're buying for these guys because they can be very dangerous, and unfortunately your guinea pigs would not survive if they have them their entire life. It'll cause very, very serious issues for them. So This here is Maisie. She has finished nearly the entire pile of hay on my lap. She's also weed and pooed on me, which all guinea pigs do. She's very, very curious and she's very adventurous. Okay, now Maisie here, she has very, very large ears. I'm not going to lift her up and pick her to the screen to show you because she is not going to like that, unfortunately. So these big ears just tell me that she's very sensitive to hearing. So we want to make sure we're not too noisy around them. If they get scared, they will run into them hidey holes and you know you've been a little bit too loud. It is trial and error when you first get your pet animal, but talk to friends that have had them previously, talk to rescue centres. To be quite honest, if you want some advice, message us and we will try our best to give you the best advice we can. We've been taking care of these animals for quite a while now and we've read all the latest information on them to be able to give them the best care that they require. So she's very, very impressive. She also has very, very big eyes. So these big eyes tell us that she has very, very good eyesight. And her sense of smell is really, really important. So try not to have any burning candles or anything like that in wherever you've got her. If you're having a barbecue, get a hutch cover that prevents drafts and winds so that they're not getting all that smoke in their hutch. They will run out of the way if they do feel scared. If it's too smoky and they're in their run, they will run inside their hutch or under cover. But just try your best to remind these guys that they are important. They are just really, really cute. Now, another thing that you need to really remember with guinea pigs that Maisie is due to have hers done this week is nail trims. Their nails constantly grow like mine and yours. If you have them with pavement slabs, then they naturally file them down. Maisie's are a little bit long, so we are going to get hers done today. But the best way to do it is to lift them up like this so you can see all 4 feet. And then you get a second person to help you trim the nails. Now, they do have quicks, which is that little bit that bleeds if you cut them too short. As long as you stay on top of trimming their nails, the quick would reduce into their nail, so there's less chance of you catching it. But if you do catch it, flour works really well as a coagulant. Just put some flour on that, keep it nice and clean, and it should fix itself. If it does keep bleeding, then ring the vet and see whether they have any other advice for you. But flour is my go-to if I accidentally do it with these guys. So just make sure you handle them properly, you give them all the love and attention they deserve, and you give them the correct lifestyle that they deserve as well, because they're so fluffy and cute. So we are going to do a quick recap on what we have learnt today. So I have rambled on about guinea pigs for quite a while, and I apologise. For rabbits, most of this can be put in with rabbits as well, enclosure design, activity, lots of place to run. But I wouldn't advise you getting rabbits for small children. Rabbits thump, they have very, very strong back legs. And they can really kick you in the face. Fluff kicks me in the face quite a lot when she gets overexcited or when she's trying to jump off something. But my advice is just if you do get any kind of animal for your child, please supervise them at all times because animals are wild. They're very wild. They get scared very easily. They can't shout at you when they're scared like you do when you're scared. Unfortunately, their reaction is to use their teeth. So as long as you don't want your child getting injured, we just want to make sure that you guys are taking that precaution there, and also making sure your animal doesn't get injured by teaching your child how to cuddle and stroke them properly. You met Maisie, the guinea pig here. This unfortunately says socks. I'm not sure why. It was Maisie. We do have a socks as well, but socks didn't want to come out and play today, so we left them alone. So your homework, remember, is to create a leaflet about these guys. You can do your own research into rabbits. If you have pet rabbits, it would be really interesting to see what you come up with, but also share your pictures of your pets with us. If you have any questions, you can comment on our Facebook posts or you can comment on our YouTube posts. We do not mind answering them. And just let us know if you need any help with the care of your animals. We are not a rescue centre. We cannot take them off your hands. But if that is something you are looking for, we can direct you to a nice, safe place where your animals will have the best life. So remember to post all your homework onto our Facebook page. We have some homework from last week here. So last week I presented Jelani, the mighty one, and he is our African spotted eagle owl. And this is one of the fact files that one of the little children made for us. It's a very colourful picture, and I like that he looks like a tree. It's very, very correct. The only thing that I've seen on here is that it's the smallest owl in Africa. You're really, really close on that. He's the smallest eagle owl in Africa. There's much, much smaller owls. If you watched our classification week, you met Bumble. She was also an African owl, and I can safely say she is much, much smaller than Jelani. But well done, guys. You did really good. And I love that the sun is shining there as well to show that Jelani is a diurnal owl. That's really good. Well done. So we say this at the end of every video, and I'm going to keep saying it. We have a crowdfunder page going to help us look after and support these little animals during these uncertain times. We have raised so much money. We also have lots of fun ways for you to help us keep these animals going as well. We have bingo, and we also have our raffle going. There are lots of prizes up to grabs for taking part in these. For our raffle, we have a £50 gold animal adoption pack available. It's £3 for a raffle member, and once we've sold 100 tickets, then we will be doing the raffle draw. And with bingo, it is a 30-minute animal encounter up for grabs if you get a full house on our bingo game. We need at least 50 players for that, and bingo cards will be emailed out as soon as we've got enough players to play the game. So that is all from me and Maisie. It looks like she's ready to take a nap after eating all of her food. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I've had a really good time teaching you about these little animals and helping you take care of them. And we will see you very, very soon, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.